It was a damp morning in the Toro Negro National Forest, the kind where the air sticks to your skin like a cold, wet shroud. And I was out patrolling the winding trails near Villalba, Puerto Rico. My name's Diego Vargas, a 38-year-old forest ranger who's spent years threading through this lush green paradise. My boots squelched into the slick, muddy earth, the scent of wet soil and decaying leaves filling my lungs, a smell as familiar as my own heartbeat. The canopy overhead dripped with last night's rain, each drop a soft thud against the leaves, and I adjusted my pack, scanning the trail ahead. Routine days like this were my life, a rhythm I'd grown to trust. But that morning, something felt off, a subtle shift I couldn't pin down. The forest was too quiet, the usual chatter of birds and rustling wildlife muted, like it was holding its breath. As I rounded a bend, my eyes caught on a pool of water glimmering under the filtered sunlight, its surface unnaturally still amidst the dripping trees. I stepped closer, drawn by a pull I couldn't explain, and leaned over to check my reflection. Standard procedure to make sure I didn't look like I'd just crawled out of a swamp. But what stared back wasn't my face. It was a stranger's, eyes wide open, unblinking, expression locked in a haunting stillness that sent my heart crashing into my ribs. I stumbled back, my breath hitching, boots slipping on the wet ground. A chill snaked up my spine, sharp and cold, like icy fingers brushing my neck. Just then, a peculiar breeze swept through, tugging at me from two directions at once, forward and back, leaving me dizzy, disoriented, as if the forest itself was trying to drag me into its depths. I gripped my pack tighter, knuckles whitening, my pulse hammering in my ears. The air thickened around me, heavy with something I couldn't name, something alive, watchful, pressing against my chest. I'd spent countless days under this canopy, knew every twist of the trails, every call of the coqui frogs at dusk. But this was new. The forest had always been my sanctuary, a place where I could escape the noise of the world. Now it felt like a stranger, its familiar contours warped into something sinister. I shook my head, trying to rationalize it. Maybe it was a trick of the light, exhaustion from too many late shifts. But deep down, I knew better. That face in the water wasn't a mirage. It was a warning. In recent days, the forest had changed. The rains had been relentless, soaking the earth and leaving puddles scattered across the trails like mirrors. First, I thought nothing of it, just nature doing its thing. But then I started noticing them, reflections in the water that weren't mine. Faces, men, women, even children, staring up from the depths, their eyes hollow, mouths moving in silent screams. I'd blink and they'd vanish, leaving only my own shaken reflection. The locals had picked up on it too. They'd stopped coming to the trails, their voices hushed as they spoke of a darkness settling over Toro Negro. "No vayas, Diego," they'd warned me. "Something's awake in there." I'd laughed it off. Superstition, I told myself. Now their words clung to me like the damp air, heavy and real. The wind turned hostile as I pressed on, swirling around me in a chaotic dance, tugging at my jacket, my hair, my resolve. It wasn't just a breeze anymore. It felt alive, taunting me, pulling me toward something unseen. I'd heard the old stories, legends of lost souls wandering these woods, trapped between life and death. My abuela used to tell them late at night, her voice low, eyes gleaming with a mix of fear and reverence. I'd always dismissed them as folklore, tales to keep kids from wandering too far. But now, with each step, the ground seemed to shift beneath me, soft and unsteady, urging me deeper into the forest's heart. My stomach twisted, a knot of dread I couldn't shake. What if those stories weren't just stories? There's a history. Here, one I've only started to unravel. Years ago, I lost someone, my mother. A wound that still bleeds into my dreams. It was a reckless moment, a choice I made that I can't take back. I was 19, cocky, thought I could handle anything. She'd begged me not to go out that night, but I didn't listen. The call came hours later, her car off the road, rain-slicked asphalt, gone before I could say goodbye. That pain's been my shadow ever since, woven into every patrol, every quiet moment under these trees. Maybe that's why the faces in the puddles hit me so hard. They weren't just strangers, they were echoes of my grief, reflections of lives cut loose, adrift like she was. My heart raced as I turned from the pool, but the feeling of being watched didn't fade. The whispers started then, soft at first, like the rustle of leaves, but growing louder, wrapping around me like a shroud. "Diego," they called, each syllable a lure sinking into my bones. Were they pleading for help or something darker? I couldn't tell. The air crackled with energy, thick and suffocating, pressing against my lungs. I wiped sweat from my brow, my hand trembling despite the cold. This wasn't just my imagination. The forest was speaking, its voice a chorus of the lost, and I was caught in its pull. I had to figure this out. The forest had been my refuge, a place where I could bury my guilt under the weight of duty. Now it was a labyrinth of dread, every shadow a threat, every sound a challenge. The water pulsed with life, rippling even when the wind stilled, like it was breathing. The breeze had turned into a harbinger, a warning of something coming, something I wasn't sure I could face. My mission crystallized in my mind. Dry the pools, calm the wind, stop whatever this was before it swallowed me whole. Before those faces became more than ghosts in the water, before they claimed me too. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows that stretched across the trail like grasping hands. I felt small, a pawn in a game I didn't understand. The light faded to a dim, eerie twilight, and the forest shifted around me, alive with intent. My skin prickled, every rustle of the underbrush a jolt to my nerves. Night was falling fast, and with it, something inexplicable stirred. The whispers grew sharper, cutting through the silence. "Diego, come." And I quickened my pace, the ranger station's faint glow a beacon in the distance. I had to tell someone, anyone, what was happening. This wasn't just in my head, it was real. Then I saw it. A flicker of movement off the trail, a shadow darting between the trees. My instincts kicked in, honed from years of patrolling, and I froze, hand dropping to my sidearm. "Who's there?" I called, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. No answer, just the wind mocking me with its swirl. I stepped off the path, rounding a gnarled tree, and there she was. Elena, the local herbalist, her dark hair a messy bun, green eyes wide with fear. "Diego, you shouldn't be out here alone," she said, her voice low, urgent, cutting through the whispers. "There's something wrong. People are disappearing." "Disappearing?" I echoed, the words sinking into me like a stone. "What do you mean?" My throat tightened, her fear bleeding into mine. The forest seemed to lean in, listening, its shadows curling closer. "The faces in the water," she said, glancing around, as if expecting them to appear. "They're not just reflections, they're memories, souls lost here, restless, seeking something, and Diego, I think they want you." Her words hit like a punch, knocking the air from my lungs. "Me? Why me? I'm just a ranger." "The forest knows you," she said, her voice steadying despite the chaos around us. "You've lost someone. It feels your grief. It's drawn to it." My mother's face flashed in my mind, her warm smile, her laughter fading into silence. And I staggered, the truth of Elena's words a blade twisting in my gut. I hadn't just lost her. I'd carried her absence like a weight, a tether binding me to this place. "We need to find the source," Elena pressed, stepping closer, her gaze piercing. "There's a ritual to free them, but it's dangerous. If we don't act, they'll grow stronger." "What happens if we fail?" I asked, swallowing hard, the shadows creeping nearer. "The forest turns on us," she whispered, "and we're lost." The wind howled, a frantic swirl as if it heard her. I looked back at the trail, the station's light fading behind a wall of trees. There was no turning back. "Let's do it," I said, my voice firmer than I felt. The fight ahead loomed, a path I couldn't avoid, and as we set off deeper into the forest, I knew this was only the beginning. We ventured into the heart of Toro Negro, the air thickening with every step, a weight pressing down on my shoulders like a physical force. The whispers sharpened, forming words I couldn't quite catch. Help! Stay! And my heart pounded, each beat sinking with the rustling leaves. Was I losing it? Years of solitude in these woods, maybe it had finally cracked me. Elena led the way, her step sure, despite the dark muttering incantations under her breath. I followed, my flashlight cutting through the gloom, but the shadows danced just beyond its reach, tendrils teasing the edge of my vision. The forest felt alive, its pulse thrumming beneath my boots, and I couldn't shake the question. Was this real, or just fear and fatigue? I'd never faced my mother's death head-on. I'd buried it deep under layers of guilt and grief, thinking if I kept moving, kept working, I could outrun it. But the forest wouldn't let me hide. It dragged, her memory to the surface, forcing me to look at what I'd lost. What if it's right, I murmured, my voice shaking. What if I'm not strong enough? Elena glanced back, her eyes soft but firm. It's not just your weakness it sees, Diego. It's your strength too. Trust that. Her words steadied me, a lifeline in the storm, but the doubt lingered, gnawing at my edges. We stumbled into a clearing, moonlight spilling onto a pool, its surface a silvery mirror. My breath caught. It was the pool, the one from my childhood, where my mother and I splashed on hot summer days, her laughter ringing through the trees. Memories flooded me, her warm hands lifting me from the water, her smile bright as the sun, then her frail body in that sterile hospital room, the goodbye I never got to say right. Pain surged, a tidal wave crashing through my chest. I gripped my flashlight tighter, its beam trembling. This wasn't just a haunting, it was personal. Diego! Elena's voice snapped me back, urgent and sharp. We need to start the ritual. But before I could move, a figure stepped from the shadows. Marco, my old friend, lost years ago to these woods. His hair was wild, eyes frantic, clothes torn and filthy. Diego, you shouldn't be back, he shouted, his voice a mix of rage and desperation. You don't know what you're doing. Shock rooted me to the spot, my flashlight dropping to the ground. Marco, we thought you were dead. I am dead, he roared, the words echoing through the clearing, and so are the others. You're puppets in the forest's game. It wants your grief, Diego. His presence hit me like a freight train, surreal and heavy. Elena stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. You're wrong, Marco. We're here to free the souls, not feed the dark. He laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. Free them? You can't. It's a trap, and you're too late. It knows your pain. It thrives on it. His words sliced through me, a truth I couldn't dodge. The forest wasn't just haunted. It was a mirror, reflecting my unresolved wounds. Marco's return threw everything into chaos, and I felt the ground shift again, unstable beneath me. Let's go, Diego, he shouted, eyes wild. You can't. Trust her or anything here. The shadows twisted, closing in, and I stood frozen, torn between the past I'd buried and the fight ahead. The greatest threat wasn't clear yet, but it was closing, fast. The air crackled, tension thick and electric, and I saw it. Marco's eyes catching the moonlight, fear and fury tangled in their depths. The forest isn't the enemy, I said, my voice steadying as realization dawned. It's us, our darkness, our grief. Elena nodded, her hand brushing mine, grounding me. Exactly, she whispered. We have to face it, not run. Marco's face twisted, sorrow and rage colliding. You think you can save me? It's too late! But I stepped toward him, defiance rising. I won't let it take me, or you. I'm here to honor my mother, not drown in her loss. The ground trembled, trees shuddering, their branches clawing at the sky. You can't, Marco bellowed, but Elena's voice cut through. Now, Diego, the ritual. I reached for the pool, my hand shaking, and plunged it in, memories surging, my Mother's smile, her goodbye love and pain intertwined. The water rippled, light spilling out, piercing the dark, and I felt it, a crack in the forest's hold. Marco's expression shifted, hope flickering in his wild gaze. "No, you can't," he cried, but I reached for him, willing him to grab my hand. He lunged, our fingers brushing, and energy surged between us, the forest erupting in blinding light. Shadows recoiled, trees groaning, and a sharp pain sliced my arm. A scar from the dark's final grasp. The light faded, and I collapsed, panting, the forest transformed, trees standing tall, leaves vibrant, the air lighter. Elena knelt beside me, her face glowing. "Did we do it?" she asked, hope trembling in her voice. "Yes," I gasped, but unease lingered, something still here. Marco stood apart, relief and dread mingling. "It's free for now, but its mark stays. I still hear it." I glanced at him, knowing our victory was bittersweet. The forest had loosened its grip, but the scars, mine, Elena's, Marco's, were permanent. We'd carry this night, its weight a tether to the past, a reminder of what we'd faced. Movement flickered in the shadows, a glimmer watching from the trees. My heart raced. Was something still lurking, waiting? Elena's eyes met mine, questions, mirrored. "We did what we could," she said, but uncertainty hung between us, a thread pulling us back. The forest stretched out, its secret still coiled tight, and I knew the battle wasn't over. The darkness might return, hungrier, stronger. But for now, we stepped back, the weight of our fight, a scar and a shield, a ranger's vow to face what waits. The trail stretched ahead, the station's light faint, but the whispers, "Diego," lingered, a call I couldn't ignore. "We'll be ready," I murmured. Elena at my side, the forest's heartbeat syncing with mine, a rhythm of fight and fate. The air buzzed, shadows patient, and I braced myself. Ranger, protector, a man tied to this land's soul. The next step loomed, a plunge into truth still buried, a battle stretching beyond this night. This is my story, the one I lived that damp morning in Toro Negro. It's raw, heavy with shadows and whispers, and if it hit you like it hit me, leave a like. Subscribe if you can, drop a comment. Telling this ripped me open, dragging up ghosts I'd buried deep. I woke to a world flipped inside out. A cold dawn seeping through the cracks of my cabin in Chobe National Park near Kasane, Botswana. The sight outside twisted my gut. Trees I'd known for years stood inverted, their crowns buried in the earth, roots clawing at the sky like frantic hands. It was as if some cosmic trickster had rearranged the forest overnight, leaving me to gape at the wreckage. The sun hadn't risen, but the air hung heavy with a stillness that tasted like trouble brewing. I'm Nia Kagosi, 34, a ranger who spent a lifetime roaming this wild expanse where the land hums with secrets. My ancestors' stories, tales of spirits and curses, echoed in my blood, woven into every step I took through these woods. But nothing they'd told me prepared me for this. Over the past few days, the trees had started this eerie dance, flipping one by one, while a rhythmic drumming rose from sealed caverns nearby, an ancient pulse I couldn't shake. The animals felt it too. Elephants blared restless warnings, their trunks slashing the air, while birds went quiet, their usual chatter snuffed out by something unseen. Deep in my bones I sensed it, an old power stirring underfoot, waking from a long sleep. I'd always thought the earth held memories, but this was alive, purposeful, and I couldn't shake the feeling it was reaching for me. Stepping outside, the morning chill bit my skin, sharp and unforgiving. I scanned the horizon for anything familiar, but the world was alien now. Trees drooping like mourners, roots pulsing with a strange energy. That drumming kept on, deep and steady, rumbling from the earth's core, tugging me closer with every beat. It was a call and a threat rolled into one, pulling me toward something buried in time. I thought of my grand's tales, guardians keeping the balance between our world and the spirits. What if I was one of them? Or worse, what if I was meant to be a pawn or a price? The idea sank cold into me. This land was my life, but now it felt like a trap snapping shut around me. As the sun edged up, splashing gold and red across the sky, the drumming grew louder, shaking the ground under my boots. I staggered, heart slamming against my ribs. The trees quivered, answering the sound, and I knew I wasn't just watching this. I was in it, tied to whatever was breaking loose. Night fell, and the sky turned into a swirl of shadows, the moon a thin silver slash behind thick clouds. I stood at my cabin's door, breath fogging in the cold, the forest's weight pressing hard on me. The drumming had swelled into a wild roar, vibrating through my chest, and I wasn't just a ranger anymore. I was caught in a mystery unraveling fast. Something moved at the clearing's edge, a tall figure, wild-haired, stepping out from the trees. My heart skipped as I recognized him. Tiro, my friend from childhood, lost to these woods years back. His eyes burned with a strange fire, locking onto mine, stirring fear and memory in equal measure. "Naya," he said, voice rough like it had been carved by the forest itself. "You shouldn't be here. What's going on?" I stepped forward, adrenaline spiking. "The trees. What's happening?" "They're waking up," he said, glancing nervously into the dark. "Something's moving below. It's not just the trees, it's the spirits. They're mad." I shook my head, grasping for sense. "Mad? At what? What did we do?" We ignored them," he said, face grim. "The elders warned us. The balance is off. The guardians aren't happy." That word, guardians, hit like a stone, dragging up old stories. "Those are just tales," I said, voice shaky. "Aren't they? Are they?" he shot back, sharp. "You feel it? The drums? The air? We're part of this, Nia. You've got to see that." The ground jolted, a deep rumble knocking me off balance. Tiro grabbed my arm. "We gotta go now!" His urgency cutting through the noise. We bolted into the woods, drums pounding louder, roots twisting underfoot. My pulse raced as we wove through the chaos. The trees towering like judges overhead, air snapping with raw energy. "Why'd you vanish?" I yelled, needing answers over the din. "I was picked," he panted, "to keep the balance. Thought I could stop it, but it's bigger than me." Shadows swirled around us, cold sinking deep. I thought of my duty, my roots here. What now? How do we fix it? "We face the source," he said, eyes dark. "The heart of the forest. It's the only way, but the guardians will test us." A figure blocked our path, a woman draped in leaves and vines, her face glowing with faint symbols. She radiated power, pulling me in despite myself. "You want the heart," she said, voice soft but firm. "But the past doesn't fade easy, and your choices will ripple forever." My heart thudded, the stakes were sky high, and standing there with Tiro facing her, I knew this wasn't just about the forest. It was my fears, my doubts, all tangled up in this, no turning back now. Her hand stretched out, and I froze. A flash of my mother's face flickered in hers, a ghost from my past I'd locked away. "Nia," she said, voice threading into my skull. "You've forgotten where you come from." "Mom?" I whispered, the words slipping out, raw and unsteady. Her eyes softened, heavy with something I couldn't name. "She was a guardian," Tiro said, tense beside me. "She knew the forest's truths. You've been kept blind." "What truth?" I snapped, anger mixing with the mess in my head. "She gave herself up," the woman said, gaze cutting through me, "to shield you when the balance broke. She's part of the dark now. You carry her load." Her words crushed me, unearthing. Memories, Mom's quiet stares into the trees, stories by the fire. I buried it all, but now it clawed free. "Why now?" I asked, voice cracking. "The guardians stir because the seal's weak," Tiro said, grim. "The darkness she locked away, it's breaking out." We're in the thick of it. The ground bucked hard, throwing me off. Tiro steadied me. "Move, Nia, it's coming." Fear wild in his eyes. I looked at her, doubt clawing. My mom, really? Or was I losing it? The forest pulsed, whispers, turning chaotic, threatening to pull me apart. Find the heart, she said, fading like mist. But watch out. The spirits feast on fear, and your past is their meal. She vanished, leaving me reeling. Tiro's grip my only anchor. The forest wasn't just home, it was my blood. And I was more than a ranger now, a piece of its story. We plunged deeper, drums roaring, spirits closing in. I wasn't just Nia anymore. I was her daughter, chasing a legacy I hadn't asked for. The air crackled, my pulse pounding like war drums, the forest alive around me. Tiro stayed close, a rock in the storm, but I felt the pull dragging me deeper. The earth shook, roots snapping free, twisting like snakes. "Nia!" Tiro yelled, voice cutting through. "They're rising!" A shadow lunged, a spirit, eyes like coals, grinning wide and wrong. "You want the heart?" it hissed, voice chilling. "Think you can take it back?" I balled my fists. "I'm not scared." But doubt gnawed. Was I enough? Could I carry this? "Your fear's sweet," it sneered, reaching. "It'll drag you down?" Tiro swung a rune-carved branch. "Back off!" Forcing it to flinch, the forest itself pushing against it. "Don't let it in," he shouted. "Use her strength. You've got it." I shut my eyes, pulling up Mom's warmth, her fierce love. When I opened them, I felt it, the forest's rhythm syncing with mine. This wasn't my enemy, it was my fight. "I won't let you have it," I said. "Steady now. I'm Nia, Guardian's daughter. I'll keep this world safe." The spirit snarled, flickering as I tapped the energy. Around me, light flaring from my core, shoving the dark back. It shrieked, but I held firm, light growing, Tiro at my side. We were a spark in the night, the forest rallying with us. I got it then, my choice, my fight, for Mom, for me. The shadows pulled back, hope surging, but this was just the start. "We've got to find it," I told Tiro, fire in my voice. "Before it's too late." The light dimmed, my chest heaving, a dull ache spreading from my side, a mark of the fight. The forest quieted, but it wasn't peace, just a pause. Tiro watched me, worry creasing his face. "You okay?" I nodded, shaky, feeling the scars inside and out from what I'd faced. "I'm good," I lied, but he saw through it. The connection I'd made was a rush and a weight. I was tied to something huge now. I scanned the ground, scorched, earth a glint catching my eye, a shard, pulsing faint, tugging at Mom's lessons. "What's this?" I asked, fingers brushing it, energy sparking. Tiro leaned in. "Could be tied to the heart?" It hit me, if the heart was out there, it was still at risk. Danger loomed, a shadow waiting to strike. Spirits shimmered out, small, glowing figures circling us, grateful but tense. One spoke. "You pushed it back, but it's not gone. The heart's alive. It binds us. You've just started." A chill sank in. This wasn't over, just a breather. "What's that mean?" I pressed, desperate. "It's guarded," it said. "But it calls you, Nia. You choose its fate." They faded, and I stood, resolve hardening. "We find it, Tiro," I said, his worried nod meeting my fire. "No matter what." "What if it comes back?" he asked, voice tight. "I'll face it," I vowed. "I'll guard this place, whatever it takes." We moved on, shard warm in my pocket, shadows lurking just out of sight. The heart's mystery hung heavy, and I knew the real fight was coming. The air thickened, steps echoing, shadows whispering secrets I couldn't catch. Tiro stayed quiet, but I felt the pull, stronger, darker. A crack split the earth, glowing deep, calling me. "Nia!" "Hold up!" Tiro yelled, but the shard burned, dragging me to the edge. I looked down. My face stared back, twisted, shadowed. Mom's sad eyes warning me. "Choose careful," a voice boomed, cold and deep. Two paths opened, one to the heart power, to save us, the other freedom, but at my soul's cost. The dark stirred in me, tempting, hungry. I stepped forward, shadows surging, pulling me in. Too late I saw. I'd become part of it, my scream lost in the void. What if the very ground beneath your feet whispered secrets from a long, forgotten past? That thought wrapped around me like the mist shrouding Dadia Forest as I patrolled its winding trails one evening, thick fog muffling my steps. I'm Eleni Papadopoulos, a park ranger here for 15 years, and this is my story, Scary Horror Stories. Park Ranger, Forest Edition. Echoes drifted through the haze, laughter, commands, desperate pleas, each sound a fleeting ghost, teasingly near yet slipping away. I reached out, fingers grazing a stone. Dull gray flared to vibrant red, pulsing with a heartbeat that jolted mine. The air hummed, alive with an energy I couldn't name, prickling my skin. Dadia, near Soufli in Greece's northeastern wilds, had been my sanctuary, a tapestry of wildlife and history I'd sworn to protect. As an amateur archaeologist, I'd chased its buried tales, sifting through time's layers. But lately, the forest had shifted. The mist carried an eerie weight, and stone stirred at my touch, waking from centuries of sleep. Something ancient was rising, and I stood at its edge. Locals in Soufli spoke of it in hushed tones, whispering fog, a blessing, and a curse from a lost civilization. They watched me with wary eyes, their reverence tinged with dread. The stones flickered, red for joy, blue for grief, gold for yearning, mirroring the voices swirling around me. It was as if the forest remembered, longing to share its tale. Ada always felt its pull, a call to unearth its secrets, but now a darker thread wove through. The whispers grew sharp, insistent, tugging at my own buried pain. Loss shadowed me, my mother's death, my father's absence, wounds I'd sealed away. The mist echoed them, a mirror to my grief, as if it knew me too well. That evening, dusk draped the trees and an urge pulled me deeper into the valley. Shadows flickered among the pines, watching, waiting, phantoms of another age. A stone circle I'd found weeks ago beckoned, its purpose a riddle gnawing at me. The voices swelled as I neared, urgent and alive, drawing me into their drama. The air crackled, energy pulsed, a living current. I wasn't just a ranger anymore, I was part of this, tied to a past I couldn't yet grasp. My mother's tales surfaced, spirits of the woods, guardians of lost truths. I'd dismissed them, but now they haunted me, their echoes in the fog. I stood at the circle's edge, heart pounding. The whispers begged me to listen, to understand. The forest wasn't just alive, it needed me, and I couldn't turn away. Night fell, and the mist thickened. Something inexplicable stirred, a veil lifting on a mystery that would bind me to Dadia's heart forever. The mist tightened around. Me, a shroud heavy with whispers, laughter, cries, a symphony vying for my soul. My heart raced as I stepped into the stone circle, the air shimmering with unseen power. A rustle snapped me alert. I spun, breath-catching. Nikos emerged, my historian, friend from Soufli, his face tight with worry under the moonlight. "Eleni," he said, voice low, "you shouldn't be here alone." The whispers, they're changing, growing restless. His urgency chilled me, a warning in the fog. "I feel it," I said. "They're calling me, Nikos. I have to know why." The pull was relentless, a tide I couldn't resist. He stepped. Closer, at what cost? The villagers say these are spirits, lost souls from long ago. It's dangerous to listen too long. What if they need us, I countered. To remember them, to tell their story? Curiosity burned, a flame against his fear. Nikos hesitated. Or trap you in their pain? You've lost enough, Eleni. I won't lose you too. His words pierced, stirring my buried grief. My mother's death flashed, her warm voice, then silence. The forest's whispers amplified it, a chorus of my own sorrow I couldn't escape. "I can't stop now," I said. "I need answers." Resolve steadied me, a shield against the rising dread. A shadow flickered among the stones, a figure, fleeting, leaving a sigh in its wake. "Did you see that?" I whispered, eyes wide. Nikos paled. "We should go, Eleni, now." His voice, trembled, fear overtaking his usual calm. He grabbed my arm, pulling, but the whispers surged, drowning his plea, urging me to stay. I shook free, determination flaring. "No, I'm not leaving," I said. "Not until I understand." The circle pulsed, a heartbeat syncing with mine, holding me fast. Nikos's eyes hardened. "Then I'm with you. We face it together." His choice anchored me, a bond against the unknown. The ground rumbled, a low growl from the earth. "Too late now," Nikos shouted, steadying me as the forest awoke, its secret spilling forth. Shadows danced. I froze as a woman emerged, her face etched with sorrow. "Help us, remember," she whispered, her voice a thread in the mist, pulling me deeper. Whispers roared, my mother's voice wove through. "Eleni, listen." A memory so vivid I stumbled, childhood flooding back. Her tales of spirits, her arms around me, faded into dread. "Eleni!" Nikos yanked me back. "Stay with me." His voice cut through, tethering me to the present as the woman's gaze held me. "Help us," she urged. "Break the chains binding us." Her plea sank deep, a call I couldn't ignore. "Chains?" I rasped. "What chains?" The ground thrummed, the mist alive with her pain, and mine merging in the fog. Memories surged, my mother's stories of a tragedy, a spirit lost to the woods. "Was that you?" I asked, voice breaking. "Are you her?" "No," Nikos snapped. "They're echoes, Eleni, not real." But doubt gnawed. Were they just shadows or something more? What if they're tied to us? I said. To me? The realization hit. My mother's vanishing, her tales all pointing. Here, Nikos's fear flared. Then we're in too deep. This is bigger than us. His words trembled, a truth dawning. The mist thickened. Her sorrow shifted to rage. "You must help us," she cried, faces of the lost flickering around her, pleading, accusing. "We need to know more," I said, about my mother, about them. Determination burned, a fire against the dark. The ground shook, a warning rumble. Shadows pulsed, alive, as if the forest itself demanded answers or retribution. Together, I whispered. Nikos nodded, uncertain but firm. We stood caught in a web of past and present, the stakes rising. Another figure emerged, Dmitri, Nikos's brother. "Eleni, stop," he yelled. "You don't know the danger!" His voice cut through, urgent and sharp. I glared. "What are you doing here?" Betrayal stung. Was he ally or foe? As the whispers roared, a storm around us, Dmitri's eyes darted. "The chains bind us all. You're risking everything." His plea clashed with my resolve, a rift in the fog. "I won't run," I said, "not from the truth." Anger flared. I'd face this for my mother, for the lost, no matter the cost. The air pulsed. I stepped closer, Nikos and Dmitri flanking me. "Tell us," I demanded, "what binds you?" The shadows surged. I braced, heart pounding, knowing this was just the start of a reckoning with the forest's ghosts. The woman's gaze pierced me. The mist tightened, a shroud of tension. "Speak my name," she said. "Free us with the truth." "Eleni, don't," Dmitri warned. "You'll unleash more than you can handle." His fear clashed with my need, a storm brewing, but her eyes begged. "Eurydice," I called, voice steady. The name rang out, shattering the silence, a key to the past. Shadows convulsed, memories flooded, betrayal, loss. My mother's face as she spoke of this place. I gasped, drowning in their weight. Nikos gripped my hand. "Hold on." His warmth anchored me as Dmitri's voice joined, a chant against the dark. "Eurydice," we cried. The shadows burst, light flaring, faces shifting from torment to peace. "Thank you," she breathed, fading into the mist. The forest stilled. I staggered, raw and drained, scars etched deep. Victory felt hollow, the air heavy with lingering pain. "Are you okay?" Nikos asked, steadying me. His eyes mirrored my exhaustion, fear lingering in their depths. "I don't know," I rasped. "We freed them, but..." The cost sank in, a bruise on my soul. Dmitri stood apart. "It's not over," he said. "Darker truths wait." His words chilled me, a shadow stretching beyond. The mist thinned, trees loomed, silent witnesses. "What else is out there?" I asked, dread coiling tight. "We need to know," I said. "For my mother, for us." Resolve flickered, fragile but fierce against the unknown. A laugh echoed, cold, sinister, from the woods. The ground trembled, a warning of more to come. We turned to leave. The forest watched, its whispers a promise of secrets yet to unfold, a battle only beginning. The laugh lingered, trees swayed, ominous, as if the forest mocked our fragile win. "What was that?" I whispered, heart racing. "We stirred something," Dmitri said. "Something older, angrier." His voice trembled, a crack in his calm. Nikos tightened his grip. "We can't stop now. Not after this." Determination burned, a thread binding us. The mist curled. Eyes seemed to gleam from the shadows, watching, waiting. "More spirits?" I asked, fear rising. "Or worse," Dmitri muttered. "We broke one chain, but others hold." His warning sank, heavy with truth. Ground pulsed. I felt it, a heartbeat beneath us, alive and restless. "We need to prepare," I said. "For what's next?" "We're in this," Nikos vowed. "Together." His strength steadied me, a shield against the dark. The forest exhaled. Silence fell, thick with tension. The victory was a breath, not an end. A pause before the storm. That's my tale spilled raw. Hope it gripped you. If it did, smack like, subscribe, toss a line below. It's heavy bearing this, so I'd love to know it stuck.